I recently went over some of my notes back when we were in finance and we went from 500,000 to 1.3 million. Went over the exact questions I was kind of thinking at the time that I wrote down. I wish I documented a bit more, but still got access to a lot of interesting things. So today I'm going to be covering everything that we did when initially I came in and did the full analysis when I joined back in late 2022, and how we actually went from under $500,000 per month to 700,000 per month, 800, 1.1 million, then to 1.3 million per month in 9 months. So let's jump right in. Here's exactly what we did with the 500K per month, 1.3 million per month. So we started off, and I will run over full numbers of the company when I came in and the situation throughout. Okay, so we audited the pipeline, biggest thing. So straight away, you're always going to see when you put in stats into a business, you're going to see straight away the percentage that you're missing. It's going to be super obvious, literally 90% of the time. Okay, started asking questions like, what are leads stalling or actually ghosting? Like, when are we actually having the biggest drop off? Are they being followed up with in real time or left waiting hours? So speed to lead. And I said as qualifying, or SDRs, whatever you want to call them, qualifying or just booking anything that breathes with a big thing. Okay. So, and what we found straight away, and what I found in the analysis, is we're losing literally 60 to 70% of people before they even got to the point of obviously having an application approval or anything like that. So instantly you need to go in and look at improving those stats. So auditing the pipeline. Then when you audit the pipeline, what we realized was it was everything from new lead, contact, and opportunity, which means we rebuilt the scripts and started retraining SDRs or the brokers depending on it. Okay. Now, we turned inward as well to the sales floor. We started actually doing quality control. So listening to real calls, actual real DMs that are going out and SMSs, reviewed emails, and realized the biggest thing was we literally just weren't even following a proven SOP or something that was actually written and to be followed. Okay, they're basically just talking to leads without actually trying to follow a proven process. So we rebuilt the scripts. How we did this is we got our top performing calls. We analyzed all of them. This wasn't back in when ChatGPT could do all this as well. So this was a massive process and very annoying. And these days AI allows all of this to be so simple. But we basically rebuilt the scripts from scratch, clear intros, value statements, which means a value statement isn't just something random. A value statement means that it's actually resonating with what the prospect wants and wants to hear, and actually solves the problem. Objection handling, this is just referred to as when someone tells you an answer that isn't the ideal answer, how do I get them back to saying it? Everyone in finance hates the objection handle, but you need to make it feel natural as well. And then clear steps moving forward to make sure that they get to each individual stage, okay? Retrade the whole team, and it wasn't once, it was then weekly ongoing, okay? We rebuilt up a follow-up machine because we found a lot of leads were literally just dropping off. So things like SMSing, obviously at the start, this has evolved since then, but this was my notes back from then in 2022. SMS them within 2 minutes because you need a delay so it seems like a human. Call within 10 minutes. I now say aim for 5 or under 10 minutes. And email within 30 minutes, that's got an input with the SMS as well. And then follow up on day 2, 3, and 5 really aggressively. Now, it's evolved since now. It's days 1, 2, 3, and then we have follow up from there. But this is what it was, okay? And we tried to automate a bit more, which I agree with, but you have to have the proper process first. Okay, so you need to make sure the follow-up machine of what you're actually having as the front end SOP to get people in this stage. What we were building was getting people from essentially contacted, from lead to contacted opportunity. Like this was building that and getting the contacted people on the phone and then moving them forward. Okay. And the biggest thing was opportunities were then, now that we fixed that and started moving forward, the opportunities now weren't properly always aligning, okay? And we found that was then opportunities and qualified leads weren't at the percentage we needed. So what are actually people saying on the phone that links to the marketing? What objections are they actually bringing up related to the marketing? And then what offer is actually getting them to say yes the fastest based on what they saw in the marketing? Okay, we then use that feedback to refine hooks, landing pages, offers, and the result was lower CPLs slightly and better qualified leads. But at this point as well, this audit was done, and the audit I was doing was of previous revenue. And the situation was I got into the group, like I bought into BGA and then grew the finance companies up. So what happened is, like, I wasn't in yet. So what I'm about to show you is the lead, and we were selling leads in a pay per lead to the business before we actually joined. Okay. So this is the real numbers. So $450,000 monthly revenue. This was the initial target that we had before I joined, and that's then what hit on the month before. Okay, average contract value was $4,000, which means we needed over 100 clients at a minimum. Conversion rate 16%, and lead required was this: over 700 leads per month. Now, cost breakdown. This is what it looked like: 706 leads per month at $80, including GST, 88 including GST back then, 2.5 years ago or whatever. Lead spend, you're doing a minimum $60,000 per month. Staffing cost was this. Each base was a minimum of 80 to 100 as well. Okay, so that's base. Then we have team leaders, a minimum salaries of 12K each of what they were, and that's base. Processes, admin, and management, 20K. So staffing cost was a minimum of, at that time, approximately 124 to 156, depending on the month. Okay, now tech, everything. They had a bit of an expensive tech setup when we joined, like with a dial pad equivalent or whatever. I won't say what the company was actually like, what was actually inside of it, but it was CRM, dialer was separate, automations were non-existent, compliance okay, and then phones were expensive as well. Now there's another, miscellaneous overhead, office, etc. It was a 10K office, and then random other finance charges would come up. So lead 60 grand, staff 140K. The reason why this also went up, so operating costs was probably more than 222, or actually was, because comms were then on top of that. So operating costs were closer to 250 to 260,000. Okay, so imagine that. Profitability, what it looked like is revenue 450,000, operating costs a minimum of 250 to 260,000 after comms, and EBITDA was approximately $150,000 per month, even though it says 180 here. And net margin was just under 40%. It was a very profitable business, and that's why it actually worked out so well. So business was making a lot of money. It was very good, and we grew that obviously way more, and more than doubled the group. Basically took from one company to one finance company. There were other companies within the group, by the way. That revenue of 1.3 million was only from 3 finance companies. It wasn't even the other companies. There was 12 total companies with a holding company. So it was way more revenue going through it. So yeah, it was a very profitable business, very good. And basically we just scaled that, used the cash flow from that to continue, and opened up to made sure we had a mortgage business and the asset finance, and grew that. So daily, weekly, monthly targets, that's how you can think of it. Here's monthly, that is then weekly, and then daily. Like, this is how you have to see it. Like, if I didn't get 35 leads, why not? If I didn't get 34 leads, why not? 6 closed deals. If I got 4 deals, what was it? And we also had application targets, meaning like we knew the percentage from application to settled. So we basically, that was also an application target, like leads, applications, closed deals, etc. And we know minimum how much needs to actually hit the bank account every day in working days for this to actually be achieved. Okay, so that is the full breakdown of how we did it, what we did, and the starting point, and how it then went up. And as I said, went from like 450 up to 600, 700, 800, 900, 1.1 million, 1.3 million, just kept growing. And then we leveled out around 1.3 million, and I sold and exited the business. Hopefully that was valuable. Hopefully that gave you some insight into what actually happens at high-level businesses when they're looking to move forward, and the analysis that they do. That was a very granular approach, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one.